So I was listening to this TikTok and it was breaking down all the bacterias that Kim Porter had. So I went and I looked some of them up. Now, was Diddy trying to save face for himself? I don't know if this is what the problem was. Maybe he was trying to save face for a lot of people. Because if this is what was really going on with Kim Porter, he didn't take her out. Her activities might have been what took her out. So everybody's saying it was Diddy who did it, Diddy who did it. And maybe he just don't want to open up that can of worms. So take a look at this video.
But what I can tell you is that there was quite a bit of pathology with her autopsy. And, you know, you'd mentioned just a moment ago that she had died of lobar pneumonia.
However, it didn't exactly make sense why the autopsy report took 2 months to be finally said.
And then they name these different bacteria that were found in her blood. The first one is Fusobacterium necrophorum, which I looked this up and it looks like you can contract this from animal bites.
To give you an idea of what we're dealing with here. Her lungs were 850 grams for the left. That's the one with only 2 lobes. And then the right lung was 900 grams.
And there's this other bacteriology report, and I really don't know what the difference is, but this one says amended reports. Okay.
Alarm bells kind of go off if you get anything that's like up in the upper 400 range. We're talking about the weight of these lungs is desperately heavy.
It says amended report. Verified date time, November 20th.
I think one of my biggest questions is, because this is not something that just happened overnight. Not only that, but when the lungs were dissected at autopsy, they had this kind of purulent fluid that came out, and it's just kind of a polite way of saying pus. She had an ongoing infection.
Another one that was found in her blood is Clostridium species, not C something something. And I looked that up and, you know, according to Google, this is similar to the type of bacteria that causes botulism and tetanus. Now, all of these are apparently found in her blood. The third one says Enterococcus faecalis, and faecalis means feces. So in her blood, there was a bacteria that is found in feces, in fecal matter. And it says that you can contract it from coming into contact with feces and fecal matter. It was in her blood, though. It was in her blood. So, and then there was one final one, Citrobacter species, isolated from aerobic blood bottle. Now, this particular bacteria, I looked it up and it says it's closely related to salmonella, and it results in intestinal infection or urinary tract. And again, y'all, I'm just Googling,
Right,
okay?
This is a prolonged event. You had a physician, a house call physician, and that's the way they're termed, apparently, that was coming out to administer treatment to Miss Porter. How in the world this could have been missed, I have no idea.
And there's 4 different bacteria that are found in her bloodstream. Look, source, blood autopsy. This is not the same as one page before where it was a wound culture from inside her lung. They swabbed her lung. No, this is her blood. They took blood out of her body, ran tests. That's what it looks like to me. Y'all tell me. And they found 4 different types of bacteria. One of these bacteria can come from animal bites. One of these bacteria is similar to the tetanus, right? One of these comes from feces. That's the Enterococcus faecalis. And one of them is closely related to salmonella, which you can contract from eating chicken, fish, whatever. So there's 4 types of bacteria found in this woman's bloodstream. It's on this thing called amended report. And the only thing I can think of is what was in those IV bags they gave her.
Pneumonia is very dangerous and left to go untreated. And when I say untreated, she was given like a Z-Pack, which is kind of a broad spectrum antibiotic, which a lot of people receive. They give her an IV that is kind of vitamin infused, lots of fluid bottles, they said, trying to do electrolyte replacement. But once you get this kind of bacterial infection that's going on, and you get to the point where your lungs are this heavy and you're producing pus at this point in time. I think my big question is, was this neglect? And if somebody has an indication here, and I'm speaking to those individuals that are insinuating that she was in some way poisoned, my advice is get in contact with the authorities. Let them know this information. Just let me throw this out there to you as well. Her system was not, her metabolism was not working within normal ranges. And
it was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body.
When they opened her chest, she had fluid that poured out of that space. Okay. And it was a considerable amount that she had coming out of the pleural area. They were able to measure it, and it was statistically significant. And we got one more bit of information for you here relative to the autopsy, which is quite telling, Jesse. Something that I had come across that was really, really striking to me was the fact that not only were her lungs heavy, and she had pleural effusion, Jesse, she had a condition called hepatomegaly and splenomegaly, which means, in layman's terms, that both her spleen and her liver were inflamed and weighed more than you would ever expect. I think that there's something systemically going on with her. She's had health problems that, the numbers that they're applying here are really way outside of the norms for her. So why hadn't she been treated? Where, where did this break down? But she's getting massages. So I would ask again, where was her inner circle at this point in time? Who was doing watch care over her? And you've got a physician coming to the house. Was she taken in for a chest x-ray? I mean, that's very basic standard stuff. Who killed her? If you know that data, give that to them. The police will run down the leads. So it's now the ball would be in the court of law enforcement relative to reopening the case. And they would have to be presented with substantive data that would indicate that somebody had a hand in her death other than this being some kind of natural manifestation.